Okay, can go.
You can go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our online reading. This time we have Rosey Sembatya, and she wrote a really interesting book about sex education for children. So I'm really excited to hear more about it. Our moderator today is going to be Ronald. I think he's well known in the poetry scene. So thank you both of you for taking the time to do the session today. And I give the word to Ronald and to Rosey, so you guys can introduce yourself, because I don't think I will do you justice. So go ahead.
All right. I hope I'm loud and clear. I would like to thank you for the opportunity, but most importantly, to thank Rosey for writing a very wonderful book. I'm yet to look out for the puzzle. I like to also interface with that. But just a bit about myself. I'm Ronald Kesekaja. I'm a technologist and I'm a Rotarian. But most importantly, I'm rallying the bulk of the Ugandan poets to, grow the poetry industry and make sure that we grow the art, push and make sure that we are accessible and that people access poetry. That said, I think I'll also do the brief introduction of Rosey, then she'll also talk a bit more about herself. Rosey is a person I got to know from FemWrite, the Readers Writers Club, and the different engagements we have there. I've also had her speak in various Rotary clubs about this subject, but also about reading in general. She's a teacher, a love of books, and she's very enthusiastic about child protection. She runs a mobile library book and a place where children can read stories. And she's really devoted quite a bit of her time on researching and making sure that child development is really done well. I've had the honor of reading her book, Where Can I Start? And it's been a very interesting weekend when I got the book and I could not put it down. But I would like, ladies and gentlemen, to give Rosey the opportunity to first of all greet us and say hi to everybody who has joined in on YouTube, on Facebook, and those who are with us via Zoom. I could see quite a bit of members out there just to greet us, and then we will dive deep into understanding how works, especially this particular book, and having a bit of conversation around her work is and of course interrogating it and getting to understand the things that drive her and the learnings that we can pick from the book and where we can get the book etc. So Rosey, over to you and thank you very much. Did we lose her?
I think we lost her. Unfortunately, we have to wait until she's back. Maybe you can give us a bit more background about her book.
Okay. Yeah. Rosey, I think has been a lot around the children literature world, because I think she's friends with Oscar Ranzo, who is also a common person on our platform here on in the Gote space, and we've had him also moderate quite a number of sessions the past years before we got really locked down, and he's also well known around children literature. And what I can say is that within her mobile library, what she does is that different parents reach out and hire books. They when they hire books, they get to have their children read, but also have the opportunity to have their children get guided by Rosey and on reading and grooming that aspect about reading within the children. But of course, she's very, very passionate about uh, children in general. If you look at her book, Where Can I Start? It really, really shows her deep passion around children development. And I think it is based on this passion that she did a master's. I think it is with UCU. I think it's with UCU in child development. So she did a course, a master's course there around child development, and she's really, really very passionate about it. And her book generally, initially when I was looking at her book, I really thought that it was a book about the prescription of what should we tell children when it comes to sex education. What should we tell them? Maybe bad touch, do this, avoid this, dress like this, and that kind of thing. To the contrary, the book is really looking at getting us to start with ourselves as an example before we even think about grooming the children and giving them any form of sex education. So I think Rosey is back. Rosey, when you dropped off for asking you to talk about yourself, I had done a very high level introduction of the few things that I remember and the few things that I know. And I don't know if you missed that part, but the different members who have joined us here must have heard the wonderful things that I know about you. But of course, as we close off on this session, I'll also tell them about the few not very wonderful things that I've also learned about you in the book. I'll talk about the high school boyfriend. But okay, over to you, Rosey.
I don't know what you've told the people about me. Hope they are only nice things. Yeah, I hope so. But I am a teacher by profession. I love children. I love dogs, and I'm a child protection enthusiast. Protection catches my attention. I get so interested, and I always want to find. Basically, that is who I am.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. As you are joining back, I was telling the members who have joined us here via Zoom and those that are joining live via Facebook and YouTube that when I was looking at your book, I was really expecting very prescriptive guidance on what to talk to the children, the different subjects. Don't do this, do this, dress like this. These are bad touches. And I marveled at the fact that you were able to, weave aspects of creative writing, but also start with the self as the main anchoring point. And that is where I want you to start. When we're talking about this book, Where Can I Start? It actually gives us a very good point to start, which is largely the self. How do you manage to blend that guides with creative writing, but with also looking at the self-help as parents, the basic things we need to start with even before you look at the children? How did you manage to weave that? And that is where we want to start. Let that be the icebreaker.
Okay, I am the kind who doesn't like self-help books because I feel that they are always, somehow, they always make one to feel that they are doing something wrong, that they don't know much. I find self-help books quite depressing. So when I was looking out to write a guide, I I felt that I needed to write something that I would enjoy reading myself, something that is not accusatory, and something that doesn't look down on people, because each of us has something unique about us and something powerful about us. And so I felt that once we get to figure that out in ourselves, then we shall be able to tell our children to tell and show our children about that thing, and be able to unearth it in themselves as well. Because each of us is unique, and each of us is phenomenal, and each of us is different and wonderful. So I wanted I wanted to write a book that is sharing a bit of what I know, a bit of what I've researched, and also a book that is relatable, a book that someone, hey, I like this. And I hope that, Ronald, you felt that way when you read the book.
Yeah, certainly, certainly. And I hope amongst the members who have joined us to this Gote forum have had the opportunity. She's a wonderful book. After reading it, I was posting it around because I felt like more people need to really read the content and experience it. Just another follow-on question: what is really the inspiration? Is it because of the enthusiasm? Is it because of the course around child development? Is it because you are naturally a mother? Because even before the child, from the book, I could see you trying to parent other your cousins and other nephews, and is it what is the inspiration behind where can I start?
Okay, Ronald, the the most interesting thing is that I started writing that book while I was on bed rest. I had a very difficult pregnancy. Yeah, no wonder my child is Zabu. She's amazing. Yeah, my pregnancy was so difficult that I was on bed rest for over 6 months, not working, just waking up and taking a seat and going to the toilet and being fed. Yeah, the doctor was like, you know what? If you're going to carry this baby to term, you are going to need to stay at home. So right from my course, I had read so much about children. I naturally love children, and I love dogs. I love puppies as well. Yeah. So I had read about children. I had researched. They are interesting. I am so interested in them. So in the course of doing nothing, I started writing about things that I felt we parents were not doing well. Maybe it's because we did not have the knowledge, or maybe it's because we didn't know that we were not doing them well. And to tell you, Ronald, I actually started writing that book in Luganda.
Amazing.
Yes, because I felt, yeah, I know. Because first of all, I am a Luganda speaker, but I struggle with writing Luganda. So I was using this period to educate myself, to better myself. So I started writing the book in Luganda, and it's only a little later that I translated the book after sharing it with a few friends, and they're like, Banange, the language, we just can't seem to get in. And then I'm like, but you are Luganda speakers. They're like, yeah, but we can't read Luganda. And I feel that is the same issue I had. I speak Luganda, but I struggle to read it. I struggle to write it. So basically, the inspiration was to share a bit of what I know and to while away the time, because the doctor had advised me not to do anything. So I was basically not doing anything. Yeah. So I'm hoping that it can get to impact many people. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We hope you don't get too busy to write another book, because
Ah,
evidently you wrote that when you had a bit of time on your hands.
Yes, I
But
did.
it's really very interesting. It's really
Thank
very
you.
interesting. There is a chapter within the book that talks about self-doubt, and it's one of the favorite areas that I read. And how far does this perhaps help in our ability to, offer any form of grooming? I think that is part of chapter 1. Any form of grooming to the children, or offer any sex education to the children, or even ourselves in our journey as parents. How far does that impact? And perhaps that chapter was a bit brief, but how do we then build that confidence, and build the courage that we are enough, and that we can parent, and that we can share knowledge with the little ones? That is one area I wanted you to perhaps, as we continue, speak onto, especially for those who have not gotten the book. I think it will even inspire them more to look for where to pick the book.
Yeah. I hope I understood the question, Ronald. I hope I understood the question. You mean to ask that how does self-doubt affect the way we parent? Is that it?
Yes, but also specifically the way we offer sex education to our children, or to the people under our care.
Okay. What I can say about the self-doubt is that it starts with you feeling that maybe I became a parent before I was ready, which can happen, because I know for a fact that, especially now that we have COVID and all its challenges, we are getting child parents. So these children can, like, once when they get their own children, yet they are also children, they can start feeling a certain way. And that is how the older people can come in to support them by parenting them as they parent their children. But in this case, I was specifically referring to women, not girls, but women who get children, but they kind of feel that they are not worthy of having children. So right from the beginning, I had hinged that on religion, yeah, on spirituality, on the fact that the children come from God. That was really my starting point. And the reason I had brought about this bit of God in this is that there are a number of things that that religion has brought about, or that religion has put in our face to enable. Sorry, I have issues with power, so I am now in complete darkness. Yeah,
Sorry.
but yeah, but there are things that religion has cunningly put in our faces that offer some kind of consistency. Like, the story of creation, that is where we came from. And then there is the Bible. So the Bible offers us like some sort of consistency, and talks about the fact that, once you do this, the end game is really heaven. So it offers some kind of consistency. So I was hinging on the fact that as a parent, you need to choose your consistency, so that your children are not fed on inconsistencies related to your doubts. So So that's why I started it off with saying that children come from God. And so if you know that children come from God, then you are going to create a consistency using the Bible that will help you parent the child with that consistency. So that in later in life, even if they're able to question the Bible, to question this consistency that you've set for them, at least they'll make the questions within the consistency. Am I making sense?
Yes, you're making very good sense, though at a particular point it became a bit philosophical, but it is
Yeah, I
clear
know.
that really you need to hinge on a particular thing that is very consistent, and that way you can have a clear trajectory.
Yes,
And that is very clear.
because
I wanted you
children
to mm,
because children thrive
please
on
continue.
consistency.
Mm,
Because children thrive on consistency. Once they get to feel that you are inconsistent, then they start to label you as dubious, as inconsistent. Yes. So
mm.
right from the beginning, you need to decide on a consistency that you're going to sell to your children, so that you are seen as a very consistent parent. Yes.
Sure, sure. I think that also speaks to quite a number of the other areas that I wanted to really ask. But
Yeah.
let's digress a bit and talk about this mobile library for children. How is this business? Is it making money for you? How do you reach out? How do people get to know about the business? And how is that even helping in grooming their reading culture? Because I think Hilda, that is where her passion is, and she might even sponsor if we need to have more visibility for the mobile library. Yes, please.
Thank you, thank you. Hilda has been very supportive of my work and my projects. I appreciate her and FameRight for that, for nurturing me. In fact, FameRight made me love reading more. And I believe that it is from this extreme love for reading that was nurtured by FameRight that I was able to see a need to start this business of lending books to children. Yeah, so FameRight, thank you so much. Ronald, the business has potential to make money, but the trouble with starting businesses out of passion is that you get carried away, and sometimes you fail to see the business sense of the business. What I mean is, if somebody came to me and they're like, I want to get my child reading, what can I do? And I have books. Even before they pay, I'll be tempted to lend them books. And what I usually say is uh, let's start this, and if you feel that you like it, then maybe you can pay me some money. Yeah, and that is the problem. That is a problem in itself, because then somebody might take books for maybe 3 months, and they keep saying, we are not there yet. I'm not yet ready to pay. But the child seems to be piquing interest. And once you say piquing interest, my antenna is like, okay, now we are trying to get a reader on board, so we need to keep giving them more books. So it has the potential to make me a lot of money, but I think I need business coaches. Yeah, so that I get to balance out the passion and the business sense. Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much. That is interesting to know, but it is also something that creatives struggle with in trying to commercialize whatever they do and make sure that it brings finances to the table. Um, that said, there's something about self-care that also comes through in the book, and looks like this is some of the basis of child grooming and how we relate with the children. From the book, what I read is that it looked like it all starts from us. I just wanted to have you share more about it before we get into the other in-depth aspects, and of course that is where we'll really finalize before we get into the Q&A, perhaps in the next 10 minutes. But kindly talk about that aspect of self-care before we dive deep into the other aspects about the actual areas of grooming and the sex education and the in-depth aspects. Yes, please, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Ronald. What I know for a fact is that children model behavior. Children see us, and they pick on many of the things that we are and many of the things that we do. So if you decide to take care of yourself, and by taking care of yourself, I mean, have me time, like eat well and eat healthy and laugh and basically be jolly. They are more likely to be that way. Yeah. And what
Did we lose you? Okay. I think Rose is having a network challenge. Yeah, but as we wait for her, I hope a couple of you have looked at her book, Where Can I Start? It's a guide to introducing sex education to children. And it's really a very interesting book, especially for us creatives. When you read some of these books that are more of self-help and guide, the weaving of the writing is a bit different from the heavily creative kind of books. So it is amazing how a writer like Rosey is able to, blend the two, but also ensure that that somebody can read and not see it as a prescriptive a kind of guide, or it is interesting and somebody can read it over and over and find it interesting and find it enlightening. So it's really a unique thing that she's been able to do. So it's a book that you really might want to look at. It has about how many chapters? About 20, 21, 23 chapters, 24 chapters. So it's not heavy in terms of reading. It is easy reading. The language is easy to relate with, but I can assure you, you'll still find a word or two new to learn. And it's really something that you might really want to add to your collection, whether you're a parent, a retiring parent, a new parent, or an aspiring parent. I know Fortunate is a new parent, but she could there could be others who are just aspiring. It's really a good book, because it talks about quite a number of things. But besides the first chapters that are really talking about how as an individual you angle yourself and position yourself to be a better guide, to be a better role model. From chapter 8 onwards, it really goes deep then to talk about, uh, listening to your intuition when it comes to your children, yeah, being able to structure yourself when you're engaging with children, paying attention, being their friend, proclaiming the right things to them, working with them, how to handle their fasts, those fastings, the first time perhaps your daughter goes into her menstruation period, those different fast engagements, the first day your little boy has their first erection, and all those different fasts. It talks about all those and how to handle them. So it's really very interesting. And the way it comes off is that it's for each and every area that she's talking about, she's really not exactly telling you what to do. For example, when it comes to taking note of the fats of the fasts, but giving you an example of what happened during that initial fast. In this book, she talks about the first time one of the, I think, was it a nephew or I think we have her back. I was talking about how it is interesting the way you storytell in the middle of trying to pass along a subject. And this is right on reading the flags within relationships. It is also about the paying attention and all the different areas, and noting the fasts. It is so I was trying to have a high level walkthrough of the different members that have joined us here on Zoom, on YouTube, and on Facebook Live, about these different experiences. But moving ahead, because I think our time is really getting fast spent. There's something in that talks about making a home in the book, and talks about the programming that children see, the television, and I think this also relates to what you talked about earlier, that children really follow what they see, they model, and I wanted you to really talk about that, and see how we can perhaps understand it a bit more, and see how these also relate towards the children's emotional well-being, and we see how to. Oh, I think she's dropped off again. All right. I was really trying to give you insight into some of the things in this book, and it's really very interesting. I think I was really talking about the skill of storytelling within the prescription that Rosey employs. And I think she was talking about, paying attention to the red flags. And she talks about this young man. And it really reminded me about the 90s and the early 2000s. She talks about this young man at school who had this cool look, and like that of the rappers, and very good. And the guy was nice looking, but of course, she's talking about how she could not be able to pick on the red flags as a teenager, because the guy could have quite a number of chicks around her. And when the guy fell sick one time and was taken to the sick bay, and all the young girls went to the canteen, bought quite a number of stuff to take to the guy, and she was thinking about writing him a get well poetry. That was a very interesting bit for me. And by the time she noted that the guy had quite a number, like a fleet of young girls, I think she was already heartbroken. But anyways, I picked on some of those aspects that Rosey is able to, you know, um, give a guide, but not necessarily like a self-help book. But there are quite a number of stories in here that are really written very interestingly with a bit of human fun, and that is one amazing thing that I really picked from her book. It's really a self-help that you can sit and enjoy and even read over and over and over. And she was noting to us a while ago at the start of how she intended initially to write the book initially in Luganda, and I had to translate it. And this thought equally came to me that perhaps a few of the lines were initially thought through Luganda initially before she translated it. I noted in I think chapter 18 where she talks about be the road you want to see in your children, and she talks about okwenunula, literally meaning that the children need that sense of independence, and they are going to get to that point where they need to okwenunula. And definitely she was struggling to find the right English words to drive her point home, and that speaks to the fact when we try and write English in, first of all, in our mother tongues, in the brain, you're first of all writing it in your brain, you are speaking your mother tongue, but you eventually have to translate it. Sometimes some phrases might not really come out as you intend. So that is one interesting thing that I really picked out of our book. I don't know if there are any members who have joined us who have read this book before, because I think it can help us prep for the question and answer session. If you've read this before and you have a very particular question that you would want to ask, or if at all you haven't read it but you would want to read it, and perhaps you have any question, we can first of all get those into the chat. I know Annie and Tina would be able to read these, and we arrange them properly for Rosey when she rejoins. But it's really an interesting book. The title itself is something that gets you to think deeply about the book. Where can I start? It's a very, very disturbing question to be a title. Where can I start? But it is really, really interesting because the title itself helps us dig deeper to not only knowing that it really starts with you as a parent or as an aspiring parent or a retiring parent, to start with yourself before you really reach out to the child, because most of the times they've already copied a few things from ourselves and they're trying to mimic those. But it's a really interesting book. It's really interesting. I went through it, and I kept wondering how she's able to blend that, and I wish she could get more time to write, because there are quite a number of things that we interface with in life that would want somebody to write about in form of a guide, but also creatively for somebody who's just reading to really enjoy or enjoy the book. So what we can do, I don't know, Anil, what you suggest, Sina, but I think we can prepare a few questions, maybe 2 or 3. And as soon as she joins, we have a few questions about the book, but also have those questions answered. And we see how to wrap our session up today. Okay. Anyone with a question, we can just drop it on chat, and those questions that will come through on the other platforms, Facebook Live and YouTube, those will also be able to have the hosts who are also viewing on those different platforms relay the questions, and we really enjoy it. So this book is very, very interesting, and it really talks about it actually talks about some of the key things that we need to learn, that even includes things like the love languages. Certain children might be good at being at words of affirmation as their love language, or maybe they need attention, focused attention as their love language, or they love receiving gifts as perhaps their love language, and getting the blend of what language to use as you're relating with the children is something that is quite very critical, according to this book. And she really gives examples very creatively, so that you really pick on this, and of course references. I think it's part of the key thing that is really very interesting about this book, the fact that there are references that you can refer back to, that you can that you can be able to reach out and fully get yourself into the book and understand the aspects around it. And yeah, she talks about quite a number of things, including how we relate with friends. In this book, she talks about the fact that the friends that we keep around in turn affects how we groom the children and the kind of sex education that we provide to them. And because children will interpret the fact that we have trusted these friends or the circles around us, and definitely by virtue of us trusting them, they would equally trust the people around us. And whether you have good or not very good friends, some of those behaviors will be picked on. So I think it is very critical for us to, be able to understand the kind of friends we have, and the kind of circles we maintain, and how that is affected. I think Hilda has a question or a supplement. Hilda, over to you. Yes, Hilda. Kindly unmute. All right, I think Hilda is struggling with her audios, but she posted a question in the chat about Luganda writers using.
Oh my God, Ronald.
Okay, over to you.
I said so much with mute.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, yes, but I was thanking you and saying that even when Rosey keeps dropping in and out, I am really enjoying this chat. I'm enjoying the conversation. It is interesting. I hope Rosey will tell us, or you will tell us, where we can find the book, in case I missed out on that information. But also, it's interesting that Rosey mentions having started writing in Uganda. And Luganda speakers, I have found that they use a lot of euphemism in their speech, in their writing, in their music. And so I'm just wondering, does she employ it? And if she does it affect her language? If she doesn't, do we miss out on the beauty of euphemism? Yeah, you could speak to that since you have read the book. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I noted it. I just failed to give it the technical jargons, but like you note, most of the times people who write in Luganda borrow that aspect of the oral storytelling about euphemism, and I think it is not something that she deliberately employs, and I think it's something that makes us miss a bit, and that's why I was really noting as we're moving on that it will be very, very interesting and very, very great for us to have her write a bit more books so that we can get more of her great talent, but also her deep knowledge, technical knowledge, when it comes to the area of children and children development. Hilda, do you have any supplementing remarks before I go to Bridget's question?
No, I think you can go to Bridget because I haven't read the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rosey.
Thank you for attempting my book.
Okay.
My answer to answer me.
Yes, and I think she'll be in a better place to really talk about it and talk about her approach in terms of the technique. Of course, she tells me that the books are available at Gustro, and I think she also sells directly. Of course, so many writers in the country struggle with some of the bookshops, and a few of them don't really overly distribute through the regular channels. But the book is available at Gustro, and I think she also directly sells. I want to attempt to Bridget. Bridget, thank you for the comments. I think I've ignited interest in the book. Thank you very much. You ask about my question, I guess, is on how she manages to compete or create competitive advantage over the not so crowded children writers field. I hope that is something that she can help us answer. May not be able to attempt on that, but as soon as she joins, or if she fails to join, I think we'll find a way of her following on the different social medias on Facebook, and then we'll repost, we'll have maybe Annie or Sina repost some of these questions, tag her so that she can then try to answer them. Glida, you have a question. You can perhaps unmute and ask, and we'll then see how to utilize our remaining time. I can see quite a number from Barbara, Glida. So over to you.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Yes, it's not really a question, it's just a comment. Okay, it's unfortunate that Rose is not here because I wanted to congratulate her again for the publication, because the journey of writing is never easy, but she has won the battle and published the book. I haven't yet read the book, but I'm looking forward to getting a copy. I just want to comment on the issue of language. Sorry, kind of my voice is a bit rough. It's very cold here, and it's early in the morning. I would like to comment on the issue of language. Rosey said that she tried to write in Luganda and faced several challenges in expression. I think that this is a limitation that most of us share, for sure, mainly because we grew up in an education system that taught us to embrace the English language at the expense of our mother tongues. So the system taught us to negate our mother tongues. We were punished for speaking in Luganda at school. And for me, as a writer, also I've struggled. Sometimes I try to write in Luganda, even to read Luganda, but it's a very, very big battle. So I just, I relate with what Rosey is saying when she says that she found it very challenging to write in Luganda. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, but also thank you for talking about the book. You've talked about it in a very interesting way. I'm very interested in that kind of creativity. I'm glad that Rosey employed that strategy of having, some of those little anecdotes in the book. Those little stories, her personal stories, they make a lot of difference. And I'm really looking forward to reading the book. Thank you for raising our interest in a very special way. Thank you, Ronald.
Thank you too. Thank you too. Those little stories in there were one of the the highlight for me. They brought out the different subjects that she was trying to address very, very vividly, and it was very, very nice. Usually when you read most of these self-help or guide books, they are more like texts, school texts. So that joy of reading something creatively written is something we sometimes don't get in them, but it's something that I was able to enjoy in the book, and it's very, very interesting and very lovely. I don't know if there's anything within the chat that I can personally address. All right, I think most of the questions were largely for Rosey. And I think, Annie, you can guide, you can perhaps take over the remaining minutes. You had guided that we work within an hour. Unfortunately, we are struggling to have our colleague back. I can see Hilda's hand up. Before maybe we get to Annie, we can have Hilda, and then we can hear from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ronald. I'm just, if you have the book with you, although Rose is not here, I'm just thinking that probably you could read a bit for us. And maybe if there are some people in the audience also who have the book, maybe they can read maybe a paragraph or so that we get a feel. Have we lost Ronald?
No. I'm just looking for a short, a short aspect. I'll read a chapter.
Okay.
I know Annie's looking at me with.
No, it's okay. It's actually a really good idea, So
I'll just read the chapter. It's chapter 15. It's about a note on the fasts. A friend told me of when their preteen son ran to their bedroom early in the morning to report an erection. His penis had refused to go down. He thought he was sick and was going to die. The parents calmed him down that it was normal for boys of his age and it would go down with time. He would have been lost and overwhelmed if the parents had not provided any answers. He would, though not faulty of his own, have searched for answers in the wrong places. It is possible that he would have been introduced to other untruths in his quest for answers. There's always something fundamental about the fasts as a place, a feeling, an entity, and a position. When children come to us, they offer us an opportunity to be their many fasts. Babies are amazed when they see our eyes, our teeth, our smiles, and the other things we can do. We are also their first encounter. We are also their first encouragement and correction. You can call your child by their name. You can give the child the right pronunciation of the name, its tone, its music. What you are doing is empowering the child to be able to correct others who mispronounce it. You are giving the child authority and control their name. Our children should be able to hear whatever we want them to know from us first. If your child has nice teeth, we should talk about it to no end. This should not only happen when we want to bribe them in something, because then that would be treated as with a tinge of suspicion. We should not shy away from talking about emotions, building their emotional vocabulary. If your child does not have you to talk to first, who have you intentionally put in their vacuum to help the child? That is chapter 14. I mean, chapter 15 in the book. It is one of the short chapters, so I chose it because then it will deliver that entire piece properly. I think I've done it a bit of justice, Hilda. I can see Barbara has her hand up. I think we are at the phase of really wrapping up. Barbara, over to you before we go to Annie to see how to wrap this up.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Hi, Hilda. Hi, Glyda. Hi, everyone. It's really nice to be here.
Hi, Barbara.
Yes, I read the book. I think I'm one of the lucky few who read the book when it just came out. And I wanted to commend Rosey as well. You almost read my chapter 14 about paying attention. And for me, it had so much to learn, especially given that some of us are now having adolescents and we have our children at home, and it really provided an opportunity to know the kinds of children we have, and how to deal with it. That was the best part, that not just to be able to know your child. And she talks about the three types of children in that chapter. Your child may be an influencer, maybe a follower, or maybe, I have the book with me so I can cheat, maybe a ringleader and the influencer, and the underdog. Yes, these are the three types of children. And Hilda, you keep asking, is my child an influencer? Is he a follower? Is he an underdog? And inside there, she goes ahead to speak to a parent and really guide. Like, if your child is an influencer, find out positive, negative, then what do you do about it? And I really, for me, it was an enriching moment, because at least to the question of where can I start, really, I got an answer to how I get to start. I really want to commend Rosey again and thank her more than enough for the book. And I really want to encourage the people who have not yet got the copy. It is worth your dime. If you spend 30,000, if you spend 50 on it, I can promise you that you're not going to regret it. You love the book, you'll recommend it to others, and I'm sure it's going to impact. It's really, really going to impact on you and the people that you choose.
All right. Thank you very much. I think, Annie, this is your moment for us to see how to wrap up. It's been a lovely evening. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you so much, Ronald, for taking over the whole conversation. It was not what we expected, but anyway, we will reach out to Rosey and see, maybe I wrote down the questions, so maybe she can do a short video where she can answer the questions, or she just writes down the answers and we just post it on our social media channels. So we will find a way that she will answer your questions, so don't worry. Yeah, Ronald, thank you so much for being here and doing the great job you did. Thank you so much for everyone who joined us on behalf of the whole Goethe-Zentrum team. And yeah, just a short overview of our next events. You're more than welcome to join us for our GZK events. We will have a dance battle actually happening on this Saturday at Indira Cultural Center. So just yeah, look out for our social media posts and make sure you will join us for one event or the other or all of them. On the 27th, we are having an opening at the Uganda Museum about Things Fall Apart in cooperation with Modern Art Film Archive from Berlin. So they were coming last week and we are just organizing the whole exhibition and the openings on the 27th. On the 28th and 29th, we will have the actual screening of the Things Fall Apart versions. So you're also more than welcome to join. Yeah, I think that's it for tonight. I am really sorry that Rosey didn't really make it or she had issues with the internet, but I think Ronald gave us a good idea of what her book is all about. So thank you so much everyone for joining and have a good evening. And maybe we can all turn on our camera so we can see each other and just say goodbye for tonight.
Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
I'm in darkness. Good to see you all. All the best. Thank you, Ronald.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.